welcome in to our live class today. Okay, if you're joining in for the first time ever with me, welcome. I want you guys to put in the chat here, how long have you been job searching? I want you to write that in the chat so we know where everyone's at here and where you're coming in from. We're in Northern Colorado, finally got a break from the heat, so that's good. Let's let a few more people jump in and find us. We're live on Substack and we're live here on LinkedIn, and I am doing them separate today, so just so you guys know. I'm excited to see. If I don't see your comments, I will double check on LinkedIn here and Substack and go back and forth. So please bear with me as I do that. It's not always the easiest, and technology. So let's get started here. Please, if you have any questions or comments, I really do want you guys to jump in to and have a comment here, okay? So today we are talking about a really important topic here, bringing you the real stuff. We are talking about the career advice you're getting that's making you as an experienced professional harder to hire. Who here has felt like you're qualified, but you're being overlooked, being misread, passed over in 2025, 2026. And I want to talk about what hiring decision makers are actually looking for now. Okay. So I want to make sure everyone's in here, but I want to start with something that I know a lot of you that are here in this room have either thought or you've actually said out loud in the last 6 months. Maybe you were in the car, maybe you were at your desk at midnight, or another week of silence, whatever. Maybe you woke up in the middle of the night, you were thinking about the roles that you were qualified for and you're not hearing back, you're getting ghosted. And this is something that I keep hearing over and over. I know I can do this job. I have done this job before. So why are people acting like I don't exist? Drop a yes in the comments if that is a thought that you've had in your head or you've said out loud. I want to hear it, y'all. Okay, I want to hear it. Let everyone else know that they're not alone as well. Okay. And then if you guys could let me know also if the video is in sync with my voice, that would be great too. It's a little slow on my end. So anyways, we're going to dive right in here. Okay. And yep, I see you guys. Yep. I see a lot of people are here today for that. Yep. And here's the first thing I want you to know before we go anywhere else today. You're not crazy. You're not imagining this stuff. You're not suddenly just less valuable than you were 2 years ago. And no, I've actually had people say this to me over the last couple months. You did nothing wrong. Okay. You actually followed the advice. You applied to more jobs because it's a numbers game. Who's heard that, right? You've updated your resume. I just got off a call with a guy earlier today and he was like, oh my goodness, I have updated it numerous times, right? You've done the whole same thing with LinkedIn. You've practiced all your interviewing answers. You've networked more, whatever that even means these days. But I want to tell you guys that advice was actually wrong. Sorry, but not sorry. It was wrong. Not because people who are giving you that advice are bad at their jobs. I want to make that very clear. But what happens is that advice was actually built for a version of the market that is actually fundamentally and structurally changed, and no one updated the playbook, right? So what is happening to you right now in your career? It's real. It has a name. And by the end of this masterclass, which is I'm aiming about 45 minutes, you're going to understand exactly what that is, why it's happening, and what you're going to do about it. Okay, so for you guys who are just joining in and whatnot here, welcome in. Drop in the chat how long you've been job searching. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Vennessa McConkey. I'm a career strategist and market positioning expert. I help experienced professionals, people with the 15, 20, 25 years plus of years of genuine experience, stop being misread by a market that is moving too fast to figure out their value on their own. Okay. My work is built on one uncomfortable truth that the career industry has been avoiding, to be honest with you. It's that the market does not hire qualifications. The market hires perceived relevance, trust, and business value. And if those signals are not coming through clearly to these organizations, it doesn't matter how strong your track record is. Okay, that's the bad news. Here is the good news. If it's not a talent problem, and it's not, then it can be fixed strategically, right? So today I'm going to show you what has changed, exactly why senior professionals are being passed over right now, and what the hiring decision makers are actually looking for. And we're going to do this live together, guys, okay? This is a working session, okay? So let's dive right in. Who is ready for this? I'm ready for this. Okay. So let me start with something that people feel, but they can't explain. The hiring market, if you guys haven't noticed, it's not operating the way it used to, right? For a long time, what happened was your experience it carried a lot of weight on its own, right? You had the years of experience, you had the titles, the companies, the track record, all those things. What they did is they automatically created credibility for you, right? You didn't have to explain as much because the market, it filled in the blanks. They're like, yeah, I get it. They connected the dots. I get it, right? That used to work. And unfortunately, it doesn't anymore. Okay. In 2026, it doesn't work the same way. Companies, they're slower to hire, right? We're in this trust recession, like no trust, basically. Okay. Everything is automated, that AI, blah, 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 right? We've all experienced it, right? So companies are slower to hire. Decision makers are more cautious. Budgets are tighter. Teams are leaner. And the cost of a bad hire, it feels higher than ever. And when a company looks at, senior level candidate, someone who's super experienced, they're not just asking, can this person, solve this problem, blah, blah, blah. Okay. They're also asking, are they too expensive? Are they too broad in their knowledge? Are they going to stay? And how do I justify this hire to the CEO, CFO, the board, the team, right? That's what gets missed. Okay. It's not necessarily about if they're right fit for the culture. It's those questions. Can I justify them to our team? Okay. Are they going to stay? And so you're thinking a lot of the times that you're being evaluated on competence. You're actually being evaluated on their confidence, not like your own confidence in how you're presenting yourself, but their confidence in you. Does that make sense, guys? That's a trust gap. Okay, we have to nowadays in 2026 is we have to build trust in who we are, what we're capable of doing. And when you don't actively close that trust gap, the market starts making assumptions. And y'all, we don't want to make assumptions, do we? No assumptions. We don't want to do that, okay? No assumptions. So what do we do? I'm going to say this one more time because I think it's important. I'm going to pull up my notes here one more time, okay? When you do not clearly state or position your value, the market is going to make assumptions. And vague experience, especially at the senior level, guys, it gets interpreted as you're super expensive, you're unfocused, you're overqualified, you're outdated, you're hard to place, okay? Because you're not positioning yourself, right? You guys don't have I'm going to make this very clear. You do not have a resume problem, okay? What's happening is you're having a market interpretation problem, right? You could have the most polished resume. It could get through the tracking systems. Your LinkedIn might look beautiful. Your interview answers might be all perfectly laid out. But if the market, if these companies, if these recruiters cannot quickly understand what business problem you solve, basically where you're creating that measurable value and why you are relevant right now, you're going to keep getting passed over by candidates who are easier to read. Okay, and it's kind of like a slap in the face, isn't it? But it's also the strategy, okay? Because this is an interpretation problem that can be fixed, okay? So I want to double check and see if we've got any comments going here. Awesome. Okay. So again, drop it in the comments, anything that you want to talk about. If you have any questions whatsoever there, I want to make sure that I'm answering them as we go here. Okay. So how do we fix all this, right? I want to walk you through 3 very specific reasons that most experienced level professionals are being overlooked right now. Okay. So we're going to list these out and then we're going to walk through you guys actually doing some of this stuff. Okay. These are patterns, guys, that I see every single week in the work that I do, every single one of them. And between each one of these reasons is where we're going to do the work. I'm going to give you a diagnostic question to answer live, okay? Because at the beginning, I promised you something to work with, not just something to think about, okay? I want you guys to take action. So I want you to get something to write with. We're going to do this now. And if you can't do it now, make sure you message me or drop in the comments that you want the replay, and I will get you all set up with that, okay? So let's see if I can get my slides here to work. Oh yeah, so I'm really bad with slides, guys. So I have them because I want you guys to have a visual and then I don't get it up there. So I have on here, right, the market doesn't hire qualifications. It does hire perceived relevance, trust, and business value. Okay, and you want to answer the question of the companies that are asking, can you immediately solve a problem that I'm losing sleep over? Okay, so that's what we want to do. Okay, so let me go back here. I was getting ahead of my notes. So the first reason that you're being overlooked is you're leading with what you did instead of what changed. So many times on our resume, what we're doing is we're describing our experience in terms of responsibilities. I did this. I led cross-functional teams. I managed operations. I was responsible for, this transformation initiative. That's true. These things are all very true. But it's also not enough in 2026 because what happens is companies are dealing with urgency right now. Okay. And responsibilities do not create urgency. Impact does. Responsibilities say, this is what sat on my desk. And I had a list. I kind of just went through the stuff as it came, right? Impact says, here is what changed because I was in the room. Okay, that's the shift that we want to make here. Okay, and this is the first phase of my interpretation gap framework. Okay, so let me give you an example. So a lot of times I see this on LinkedIn profiles, I see this on resumes, things like that, and it's really, really, really important for you guys to take a look at and evaluate your own. Okay, I managed a team during a period of organizational change and chaos. Okay. That was your responsibility, right? Managing a team, okay? If you want to create impact, what we want to see is something like, I stabilized a 40-person team during leadership transition, reduced operational confusion, and kept 3 critical initiatives moving while the business reorganized around new priorities. Same person, same experience. It's just a completely different, perspective on it. Like I said earlier, I was talking to a client just before this live, and his resume, it listed all the responsibilities. And as we actually walked through, we created more of that impact. And he was like, whoa, yeah, that is what I do. That is what I do. That's what we want you guys to experience. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. Put a yes there in the comments if that makes sense. And you're like, whoa, I need this. Okay. So that's the first thing. Okay. And so this is what I'm going to put this up on the screen now for you guys. Change the next slide. These are the 4 diagnostics. Okay. So that first one is clarify your impact. What specifically changed in the last organization you worked in because you were there? Not what you managed, but what moved. Okay, so I want you right now to write that out. Okay, messy is fine. I don't want it to be something perfect and things like that. I don't want you to write down your title. Okay, literally, like in revenue, in risk, in responsive or in capability, in speed, team stability. Okay, not just like the job description. All right, so I'm going to give you like 30 to 60 seconds to like walk through that. And when you have one done, like go ahead and put it in the comments here. I really want to make sure that you guys are actually working through the stuff and you're getting feedback on it. Okay. So this is the time to do it. Is you want to make sure that you're getting feedback on it. Okay. So I should play the Jeopardy song. So if you're joining in with us, we are going through our first diagnostic here. Is we are making sure that we are clarifying the impact that we make. What specifically changed in the last organization that you worked in because you were there? Okay, not what you managed or what your title was, but why you were there. Okay, give you just a few more seconds. Oh yeah, that's true. I see you there. Okay. Okay, so whatever you wrote down there, I don't care how rough it is, how messy it is, that's actually closer to your actual market value than anything that's on your resume. Okay, and we're going to come back to that. Okay, so the second reason why you're getting overlooked now as a very experienced professional here, and I'm talking VP, director, senior manager type roles here, guys. I'm not talking about like entry level. All right, not even talking about middle management. Okay, the second reason is you're positioning around a title instead of a business problem. How many times when you lose a job, you're looking for that title? You're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go out there as supply chain manager, director of operations. That's the problem in 2026 when you're doing that. Okay. This is one that absolutely costs people the most opportunities, and they absolutely have no idea what's happening. They're like, but I'm looking at the VP of HR, I'm looking at chief of staff, I'm looking at transformation leader, director of operations. And yes, titles do matter, but that's not positioning out there in the market. Okay. What a title does is it tells the market where we should file you, where we should put you on the org chart, who's underneath you. A business problem tells the market why they need you. Why? Okay, that's what we want to focus on. Okay, so here's a comparison. I'm an HR director. That tells the market your container, right? Versus I build scalable leadership capability in organizations going through rapid growth or significant change. That's different. That's telling the value. One's a label, one's a solution. I'd rather hire a solution than a label, right? So you have to think about this. If you've ever been in the position of a decision maker, which most of you are out there that are watching this and listening to this, you're not waking up saying, I hope I find someone with a beautiful resume today. No one is looking for that. I hope someone checks all the boxes on our job description. No, what they're doing is they're waking up and they're going, oh my goodness, we are scaling and the wheels are freaking coming off. We have so much complexity. We don't have enough execution and our leaders are not aligned. That's the language of hiring, guys. It's business pressure. That's not your professional identity. So when your positioning sounds like the title that's out there, what's happening is, right, their need out there. Sorry, let me back up. When you're positioning, it sounds more like a title and their need feels like a business problem. There's a gap, right? And in that gap, right, you've got your business title, you've got their business problem, okay? And there's a gap in between. And in that gap, you're getting passed over. Other people are connecting the dots. Not because you can't solve the problem. It's because they can't see the connection between what your title and their business problem quick enough. And they don't have time anymore these days. If you notice, things are moving very quickly, okay? So the next diagnostic, as you can see up on the screen, if you're on Substack, I'm sorry, you can't see the screen right now. But if you can see, it's name your business problem. What is the reoccurring specific business problem that you solve better than almost anyone? And who is most desperate for it? Think about that. Who is most desperate for it? Okay, I want you guys to write these things down. I don't want you to filter it. I don't want you to make it pretty. I want you just answer. And if you've got something that you want to comment on or you want some guidance on, advice on, make sure you drop the comments in. And I'm more than happy to walk through this with you. Okay, I'm more than happy to walk through it with you. Okay, because we want to be able to do that for you. Okay. Let me check the comments. Sometimes comments don't come through, so I do apologize, guys, if I don't see your comments right away. Okay. So if someone is live here is on here live, oh my goodness, it's Monday. if someone's on here live, and if you could just comment so that we can see something up here on the screen, that'd be great. That'd be absolutely wonderful. So, because we've had tech issues before, and if we have tech issues, guys, and you can't see the comments or you can't post anything or whatnot, or I'm not answering something, well, I will send out the audio and I will respond to any questions I see that post afterwards, because we have had that issue before. Okay, so this diagnostic too, I want to make sure that you guys really get, and especially that second part of what type of organization is most desperate for the business, that problem that you solve right now, not like 10 years ago, like right now. Okay. The third reason is you're waiting for that visibility. Okay. And this is, I hate this out there in my own industry. You're waiting for visibility instead of building trust before the demand appears. Okay. And this is where so many experienced professionals get stuck. And it's, out of all of these, it is the most expensive, right? What's happening is you apply when the job's posted. You reach out when you need something. You update your LinkedIn when things get painful in your job search. You start networking after the urgency is already hit. That's not a visibility strategy. What that is a reaction. And I do say that, guys, with love. But here's the thing is, love does not make the weak strategy stronger. Okay? Here's a number worth sitting with, okay? And most senior level roles, they're never publicly posted. Never. Like literally 80% of them, okay? They're filled through referrals, relationships, and reputation before a job description is ever written. I am going to use my friend Carlos, and he has, oh my goodness, he was never looking for a job. He is in Texas. He was working in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in steel fabrication, and he was at a VP level already, okay? He was not looking. He was decently happy. You know, I'd always get the random text of, okay, I'm not satisfied. It sucks today. Oh, and then the next day you're fine, right? We've all been there, okay? Because he is so focused on not necessarily doing the job description part of his job, the responsibility, he's more about building relationships and making sure that people on his teams, his suppliers, his vendors and stuff like that, those people have good relationships with him. Because of that, do you know what happened? We had a couple of recruiters reach out to him. He's like, no, not interested. No, not interested, for a year, guys. And I was like, engage in it. So we finally engaged in it. Okay. Because they knew his reputation, and he'd started building relationships with them and had a very good reputation in the industry. That guess what? He finally took the job. He was able to negotiate a few things with my help here, and he got the job, and he moved now to Houston at a better job, better company, more autonomy. Okay. He's got better pay and is close to their family, all because of what I just said. Okay. That is so incredibly important. Okay. It means this is what this means, guys. If you're only visible when you're actively searching, and I do realize that some of you got laid off and you're like, oh my goodness, now what's happening is you're starting that trust building process now at exactly the moment when you need it most. And that is always too late. Always. You have to be visible all the time, and we're all busy. So I don't want to hear the excuses of, well, I had my job before and I was busy and blah, blah, blah. Take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes max a day, and reach out to a few people in your network. See how they're doing. Give them some encouraging words, whatever it may be. Okay. So the professionals, guys, that are getting the jobs, that are getting the calls, okay, they have been building this visibility and credibility long before they actually needed it. Okay. Not because they knew a search was coming, not because they thought they were going to get laid off, but because they understood that at this level, senior level hiring, it's a trust formation process. It's not a transaction. It is a process. This is so important, guys. Okay. So in this third diagnostic here, as you look up here, okay, it says to audit your visibility. So if the 5 decision makers most likely to hire you looked you up right now, what would they find? Would they all say the same thing? Does it clearly communicate the business problem you solve? And I want you to be honest, because this only works, guys, if you are honest. Okay? It's not what you want them to find. Okay. What would they actually find today? The actuality of it. All right. I want you to write that all down right now. Okay. Very, very important. Okay. What, if you guys are joining in here now, if 5 decision makers most likely to hire you looked you up right now, what would they find? How clear are you on the business problem that you solve? Okay. And if you want to feel a little spicy, go ahead and type it in the comments. Okay. So now I want to talk about what decision makers actually want in 2026. Okay, this is what actually moves senior level professionals, experienced professionals forward in this market. Okay, this is so important. Most of you guys think, and this has been very, very clear in any call that I've had in the last 8 months. Okay, I'm just going to apply to more applications because more jobs online because more is better. It's a numbers game. Better resume, stronger LinkedIn headline. I'm going to network more, whatever that even means anymore, right? I'm going to map out more interview answers. I'm going to make sure a better STAR method. Okay, those things do help, but this is only after you are positioned right. Okay, when we go through my strategy calls, we sit there and I ask a series of questions because I want to understand where we should position you out there in the market. We all have this catalog of services that we can literally throw at a company, things that we've done that we're good at. But if you put all of that out there, guess what happens? They're not going to sit there and connect the dots. But if you put 1 or 2 out there that you're really, really good at and you like to lead with and you're passionate about, guess what? That's your positioning. Okay? Because otherwise, if you're just throwing that out there, you're distributing unclear value more efficiently is all it is. And we don't need to scale the confusion. Okay. My mentor always says, she's like, simple sells, complexity repels. And it's true. So what we have to do is we have to sharpen the signal. Decision makers in 2026, guys, are looking for 3 things. 3. And inside my interpretation gap framework, I call this the 3R framework. And I have a longer masterclass on this that I did a couple months ago if you guys want to know the details of the 3R framework. Okay. But the first R, and let me see if I was so awesome enough to create a slide on this. Nope, I didn't. I'm sorry. 3 R's. But the first one is results. Okay. A lot of us are really good about this on our resumes and whatnot, right? Results answer the question, what changed because you were there? Revenue increase, cost decrease, retention improved, risk reduced, right? Team stabilized, operations scaled, decisions were just clear cut now, right? Not every result, and this is something I want you guys to be very clear on. Not every result needs a massive number. Some of your most valuable results are risk reduction, speed, clarity, continuity. I can't even say continuity. Oh my goodness. Stabilization under pressure. Those don't have like massive revenue numbers, but they do affect it, right? Indirectly. Okay. So what happens is experienced professionals, they constantly underestimate because they think, well, that was just part of my job. No, that wasn't just your job. That was the business value of your leadership. So stop burying it. Okay. Really bring that out. So that's the first R. The second one is relevance. Okay. And what relevance does is it answers this question. Why does this result, right? The first R, why does it matter here for this company right now? Why is it relevant right now? And this is where a lot of professionals lose the room. What happens is they start talking about what they've done. And what they're doing is they're not connecting it to what the company is currently facing. So then the decision maker is like, I have to do the translation here. Okay, I think. And I mean, they're decently quick about it, but if it causes too much, if someone's already tired and they're already overwhelmed as a decision maker, they do not want homework. Okay, so here's an example of a really weak version of relevance. Okay. I love using this one, right? It's I've led transformation initiatives across complex organizations. Okay. Decent. Okay. But a stronger version of that is You're entering a phase where growth is outpacing operational clarity. My background is in creating structure inside complexity so teams can execute without slowing the business down. And what happens is that lands differently because you're not just presenting your experience. What you're doing is you're interpreting your experience through their pressure. That's relevance. Okay, does that make sense, guys? I mean, can you pick up what I'm putting down right there? Okay, so that's the second R. So we have results, we have relevance, and then we have resonance. Okay, and resonance, that answers the question, can they trust this quickly? Okay, resonance is creating a story, right? Resonance is whether your message feels clear, specific, and credible enough that someone can believe it without decoding it. And this is where what happens is you guys end up creating doubt accidentally, okay? You're too broad, or you've got so many layers. You list all your credentials after your name. You're too focused on scope. You're focusing on everything you can do, okay? And when, like I said earlier, when you've got this catalog of all your services and you're throwing it at them, then they're like, I just don't hear anything, okay? And here's why resonance matters more than anything, okay? It goes beyond your interview. Hiring decisions, they're not made in isolation. You can't just reach out to one person and they're like, yep, you're going to be hired. Someone has to advocate for you. Someone has to explain you to the CEO, the board, the team. And if your value, it's hard to repeat, it's hard to refer, it's hard to champion, and it's hard to hire, oh man, it's going to be hard to hire, okay? So, I want to present you two different candidates, okay? We've got candidate A over here. And this is what they're saying. They're in the interview, they've got it on their resume, they're saying it all over the place. I'm a strategic, results-oriented leader. I've got 20 years of experience across operations, transformation, people leadership, and cross-functional execution. Sounds very polished. Sounds like someone wrote their resume for them, right? Then you've got candidate B. I help organizations move through messy growth stages without losing operational discipline, leadership alignment, or execution speed. Sounds pretty specific, right? More like it lands like a business asset. One of them is really memorable. One of them gives you language of the people. One of those actually moves. And it's that second one, that candidate B. Okay. So if you want more information on the 3R, 3R strategy, put 3R in the comments. Let me know. Okay. So the fourth diagnostic that's up there on that screen is the 3R test. So in 2 sentences or less, what did you create? Why does it matter to the type of organization you're targeting right now? And can someone who has never met you understand it immediately? Okay, basically this is like your positioning statement in like embryo. Okay, if it's not going to come to you, that's the gap. Okay, and that's what I do in our market positioning session. Okay, but I want you to really, really write this out. Can someone understand what you do? And it's relevant right now, immediately. Can they do that? Okay, that's very important. All right, so as we're moving forward now, I want to go through the interpretation gap. Okay, because it's like, what do you do with all this, Vennessa? You're like, great. So happy you asked. You need a positioning system. You don't need that resume refresh. Please stop going to resume coaches. Okay, it's not going to help you much. I'm just being honest, okay? Just being very honest. 5-6 years ago, absolutely. Now, no. Again, what is relevant today? You're not going to need a version that's got stronger action verbs, okay? Please, I'm begging the career advice industrial complex to stop acting like verbs are going to save experienced professionals from a broken market narrative, okay? It's nuts. You need a strategic market position. You need a clear, specific answer to the question the market is actually asking, okay? And that's what my interpretation gap framework is built to do. Okay, it has 6 phases, as you can see, and I'm going to walk through them quickly, not because you're going to implement all 6 today, but I want you to see why the work that you've been doing has not been converting. And I want you to see where that actual fix starts. So that first one, as you can see there at the top, is clarify impact, right? We identify what actually changed because of your leadership, not duties, not some job description, not a task, but your impact, right? That's the diagnostic one. That's where it starts. That phase 2, okay, is where we translate experience through those 3 R's, what we just did, right? It gives you kind of a preview of what's missing. Then we have this third phase, business problem mapping, okay? This one is huge, okay? So we stop asking, what jobs can I apply to? And we start at even what companies, and we start asking, what business problems am I built to solve? That's your diagnostic 2 from earlier. We crack that open. Most people have never been asked that before, okay? Hold on. There we go. All right. So, and yes, Pamela, I will get you that 3R there, class. So then we have phase 4, which is category ownership. We define the challenges in your own market, not your title, but the actual business condition where your experience becomes highly specific, defensively valuable. Okay. That is so incredibly important because you want to be that category 1 in your own industry, okay? You want to be. Everyone's like, how do I stand out? That's how you stand out, okay? Not by your title, okay? The actual business condition where your experience is valuable, okay? Then that next phase, we have strategic visibility, okay? This is where I was talking about we build trust before the demand appears, relationship mapping, hidden market engagement, thought leadership that positions you as a business asset because you are one. You're not a job seeker, okay? And that's where diagnostic 3 maps to this, right? Where that gap lives. You figure out where that gap lives, okay? And then that 6th phase is that's the opportunity conversion. Only now, after those first 5 phases, you guys will ask me, let's stop this for a second, but you guys all ask me, oh my goodness, I applied to all these hundreds of jobs, blah, 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 blah. Okay, what has moved the needle? Oh, I updated my resume. I got a couple interviews, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You can either put all of your hard work into applying to these jobs online, or you can put all your hard work into these 5 phases so that at phase 6 here, okay, at phase 6, that's when the offer conversations truly become effective because they're not carrying this burden, let's call it burden because it is a burden, of unclear positioning. Because now you have clear messaging. And that's when it's like bing, 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 bing. You do the hard work up front. I tell my boys all the time, like, we do hard things. You're like, oh, I said, no, seriously, we do hard things because when you do hard things, you're building the mindset, you're building the process in your mind to actually get the results quicker, right? We in our culture, especially in this job seeking world, we're doing things opposite. We're trying to do the resume, the LinkedIn, the outreach, the interview strategy first, instead of getting clear on what we offer the market, okay? It's so true, okay? You're skipping the strategy underneath it. And the strategy has changed since 2021, heck, even since 2022, 23, okay? And so you have to fix that interpretation problem first. Okay, so I want you to sit there and I want you to look at the 4 diagnostics. Let me go back here. Okay, I want you to look at these 4 diagnostics. I want you to take time tonight to actually walk through that. Okay, this is a part of that hard work. It's very important. Okay, and wherever you went blank, or you were struggled, or you were vague, that right? If you were vague, that's like a phase 1, 2, or 3 gap. Okay, when you went completely blank, that's your highest priority work. You've got to work on that. And wherever you wrote something that was really sharp and specific and that surprised you, that's the thread we pull. That's the one we work on. Okay, that we run with that. Okay, so here's what I want you to leave with. Okay, let me see if I got this on here. Okay, what I want you to leave with. Okay, you came into this live, some version, right? whether you're listening to the replay or, the video, audio, you're live here with us on LinkedIn or on Substack. Okay. You come in, and what happened was you're like, I don't understand some version of this. I don't understand why this isn't working. I know I'm qualified. This worked 5 years ago. What's missing? And I really hope that you leave with something more useful than that, because you're not being passed over because you lack experience. I don't know how many times I've said that over the past 6 months. It's not true. You're being passed over because the market is having a really hard time reading your experience. They're misreading it. They're like, we have this problem. They might be able to solve it, but I don't know. Okay. And that's that interpretation gap. Okay. It's not a talent problem. It's not an applicant tracking system problem. By the way, the applicant tracking systems cannot detect that. And at your level, they shouldn't. So you shouldn't even be using those. Okay. It's not an age problem in a way that you've been fearing. It's an interpretation problem, and it's fixable. That's the cool thing, right? I mean, the four diagnostics, if you do those, you know where you have to get specific, you know where you're vague. Okay. That's what we work on. No one's helped you translate this before. And that's what I'm here for. That's what God has gifted me to do, is to translate that for you. Okay. So what this market interpretation session is, market positioning session. And if any of you guys have been in one of my sessions and you're on here, you can attest to the work that we do on there. It's really detailed. And they've actually in the past month gotten even more detailed on it. It's not a pep talk. It's not like you can do this like we see all over LinkedIn these days. It's not some like magic wand, resume glitter, whatever you want to call it. It's not me saying just believe in yourself, right? You've done all those, what do I want to call it? Like emotional gymnastics for one job search, right? This is a strategic hour where we take the translation work and we do it together. We find the gap. Okay. We name the business problem for what you solve. We build the positioning statement that makes decision makers stop and will go, whoa, pay attention. Okay. That's called a pattern interrupt. And you walk out with language that you can use immediately. It's 1 hour, guys. It's one conversation that changes the way the market reads you. Okay. And I want to tell you something. I want to be very honest, because that's what I am. If you guys have been following me before, I'm very honest. Okay. If you don't fix your positioning, this is what's going to happen. You're going to keep applying. You're going to keep getting passed over. It's going to take more months to actually land anything. You're going to keep hearing you're overqualified. You're going to keep making it to the final rounds and losing to someone who's on paper makes no sense. And you're going to keep wondering what's missing. It's not the effort, because you guys are very good with your effort. It's not capability. It's not more applications. Okay. It's clarity, strategic, specific, market-facing clarity about the business problem you solve and why this organization, whatever organization it is, needs you to solve it. So if you want that, I am here. I want you to comment trust or DM me the word trust, and I will send you the link to book, or you can look up here on the screen and I can share that. You've got that right there. You can scan the QR code and whatnot, and it'll be in the comments on LinkedIn. If you're on Substack, I want you to message me what that is, or I can drop it in the comments here too, because I want you guys to be able to have it as well. By the way, if you guys are not on Substack and you're a thought leader, y'all need to be on Substack, because it is a lot of in-depth work that you can share your thought leadership on. It's more real than any of these other social media platforms, to be honest with you. And so within that hour, I want you to know that you're walking out with exactly what you offer, who needs it, how to say it, and why the right decision maker should choose you over everyone else in the room. Okay. So I'm actually right on time today. Score. So before we close, I want you to sit with one thing. Okay. So one thing I want you to remember right now: you're not less valuable because the market has become harder to read. It has nothing to do with the economy. You have to become easier to understand. That's the work you need to do. Okay. And this is how experienced professionals, they stop competing with everyone out there, and they're showing up like the obvious choice, the easy yes. Okay. So again, comment trust or DM me the word trust, and we can get you rocking and rolling on this. Pamela, I will send you that 3R. Anyone else who has comments or questions, please feel free to message me. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Monday. All right. Bye.